studied World War II. We learned about the reasons the war started, which countries were involved, and what the main events were. We learned to speak some German and found out about rationing, propaganda and the Clydebank bombings. We found out about a strange event that happened during the war, very close to our own school in Doonfoot. By 1944, thousands of Italian prisoners, the majority captured on the battlefields of North Africa, were being held in dozens of prisoner camps scattered throughout Scotland. In the autumn of 1944, prisoners at Doonfoot, refusing to accept the war was over and they had lost, began tunnelling under one of their huts. By mid-December, after weeks of unnoticed digging, their tunnel was finally complete. On December the 15th, they had made their bid for freedom. It wasn't until the next morning until the escape was discovered. A total of 97 prisoners escaped that night. A massive manhunt was launched across Ayrshire. Within hours, small groups were picked up in local small towns, such as Dunur, Maybole and Dalrymple. For our homework project, we decided to investigate the local history of Doonfoot during World War II. Focusing on how the local community was affected by the war, through our research, we discovered stories about our own families and how they contributed to the war effort. This project helped us better understand the impact of war in our local area and our connection with our family's history.
Hello, I'm Ewan Brown. Today I'll be speaking to you about Alec William Torrey. He was my great-great-grandfather. He lived at 335 Hatfield, which is in St Albans, just outside London. He lived in a family of 6, 4 children and a wife called Catherine. He was a chief stress engineer and he worked for de Havilland. A stress engineer is a person that tests parts for the aircraft that will be flying to check if it's safe enough for the aircraft to actually fly. De Havilland were a company that were based in Hatfield. They made planes including the Mosquito, the Comet, just after World War II.
And what have you managed to find out about Alec's work and his role during the war?
Well, Alec was a chief stress engineer, as I mentioned, which was a reserved occupation, so he was too important to go away for military service. And he helped make the Mosquito. He checked the parts to see if it was safe enough to fly, which it was because it was so significant in World War II.
And why was it significant in the war?
The de Havilland Mosquito had many roles, including bomber, fighter bomber, night fighter, anti-shipping bomber, trainer torpedo bomber, and even as a target tug. The de Havilland Mosquito could reach over 400 miles per hour, which is faster than many planes back then.
And was it made of metal like other planes?
No, it was made of wood. It had a nickname, the Wooden Wonder, because the metal was quite hard to find during the war because the army and military needed it for all their equipment. So it was quite rare to get to, and it was just natural.
And Alec must have been part of a very big team, was he?
Yeah, there was a huge team that he was part of. Didn't all include stress engineers. It included people who were building it. Included just normal engineers, like with designing the parts.
A huge group effort.
Yeah. And everybody had a part to play in the war effort.
Family During World War II by Henry Fisher, P6W, Class P6W. This presentation is about my great-grandfather, Eric Fisher, in World War II and how he met my great-grandmother, Edith Prince, whilst serving in North Africa. About my great-grandfather, his name was Eric Fisher. He was born on the 6th of June in 1914. He was born in Reading in England, and Eric Fisher was my granddad's dad. He was a talented artist and won several prizes for his work before the war at Reading University in overnight night classes. After the war, he came back to Reading with my great-grandmother and ran his grandfather's building company. During the war, my great-grandfather served in North Africa with the 10th Battalion RIOC. He was in Cairo, Egypt, until 1946, where he was supporting the British Army. His rank was a sergeant. Meanwhile, in Bratislava, my great-grandmother's family was abducted from their home and put in a concentration camp called Auschwitz-Birkenau for being Jewish, where her family were killed, which was very sad. Though my great-grandmother and her little sister escaped and boarded the SS Nomi Julia, then sailed to Palestine, they were arrested by the Palestine police force in Haifa, along with 12,000 other people. She played a very helpful part in the British military because she spoke 5 languages, and the military was where she met my great-grandfather. They were married in Haifa in 1946 and then came to Reading. My great-grandfather was offered a commission, but he declined it because he felt obligated to his father, so he took over WN&E Fisher Limited. When he and my great-grandmother got to Reading, they built their own house and called it Carmel after Mount Carmel, where they were engaged. They lived there until my great-grandmother died in 1973.
Hello, my name is Harrison Markey. My local connection to World War II is my great-granddad on my maternal side. His name was Rodolfo Camponi, also known as Ronnie. He was born in Dundee, Scotland on May 29th, 1913. During the war, he served as a foot soldier in the Black Watch Regiment of the British Army. Here is the badge and tartan of the regiment, and also a picture of him and his squad during his time in the army. Ronnie served from 1943 to 1945 and was posted to India. Whilst in the army, he was initially an infantryman, but later he became a guardsman. He was also a Batman, not the DC Batman. A Batman is a personal assistant to a commissioned officer. The officer in question was David Niven, who was a famous actor at the time. Here's a picture with Ronnie and David Niven at an army ball. Here's a funny story. Whilst acting as a guardman, Ronnie was ordered to guard a building for a few weeks. Believing the building contained ammo, he took this order very seriously. But later he found out he was actually guarding tins of corned beef. We don't have any of his medals because one of his sisters stole them and pawned them for stockings, also known as tights. After the war, Ronnie returned to Scotland and lived in Glasgow with his wife, Maggie's Nonna.
Our relatives' experiences during World War II took them to places all around the world, from the gates of Auschwitz to the fields of Africa and back to the shores of Ayrshire. They faced challenges and sacrifices, but their journey did not end there. They returned to raise their families here in Doonfoot, creating a life that would give us, their grandchildren, the opportunities and comforts we know today. The events of the past have shaped the way of the present, forging a path of resilience, strength, and connection that continues to influence our lives. The sacrifices and stories of those who came before us are not just chapters in history. They are the foundation upon which our community and our future are built.